How's it going? I'm Eddie with Guitar Mastery Method, and I want to show you how this simple riff can increase your speed, dexterity, and sync up your fretting and picking hands in just 3 minutes or less. All right, so this is an open string riff starting on the low E string. The first thing we're going to do is with our first finger, we're going to play the 3rd fret with a downstroke, right? Then we're going to do a pull off. So we sustain the note, pull on our finger just slightly, and release the open string. So you almost want to think of it like when we do this pull off, you're not just releasing your finger, you're actually doing a little bit of a pull, almost like you're spring loading the string to bounce back into the open position. All right, and that's all with one downstroke. And then with an upstroke, we're going to play the open low E string right afterwards. Like that. I'm exaggerating the motion, but just like that. And we're going to do the same thing. We move it up to the 5th fret on the low E string. Same everything, right? Just on the 5th fret. So with our first finger, we downstroke, pick, pull off, open, and then upstroke that open. All right. And then what we're going to do is with our 3rd finger, we're going to do the same thing, but on the 7th fret, all the same stuff, just with our 3rd finger. So we're just walking up. You can kind of look at the dots, right? The inlays on your fretboard to kind of help you as markers from the 3rd fret, the 5th fret, and the 7th fret. All right, and then we're going to come back to the 5th fret, do the same thing, right? This is the same kind of motion, just kind of moved across different frets. All right, and then what we're going to do something kind of quick. We're going to play the 6th fret. Right, and this is going to be just a downstroke and a pull off to open, and then we're going to do an upstroke, pull off to open on the 5th fret, and then back to the 3rd fret. Doing a downstroke, pull off open, and pick open. So slowly, the whole riff in context. And you can repeat this lick all day long. You can throw in little, slides and little embellishments like that. When you're doing kind of the same motion, just sort of at different positions and different speeds, kind of gives you the luxury of adding tiny little embellishments like that. Like that first slide was actually accidental, but I was like, that was kind of cool. I'm going to keep doing that. The last thing I need you to consider when playing this riff is that it's very percussive. That's how you get the feel of it. So when I have my volume down and I play it very muted, it sounds like, something you'd hear a drummer play. Now I know we had to go through that riff in turbo mode so I can teach it to you in 3 minutes. But if there's any part of that you need a refresher on, just rewind the video and rewatch it as many times as it takes until you get it down, okay? Now, if you'd like to stick with me through the rest of the video, I'm going to show you how to apply using this riff in your practice regimen using a metronome, and also show you how you can expand the riff and play it in all kinds of different ways on different strings, so that even though it's something that is great for practice and building the dexterity and the speed and the synchronization, all that stuff I've been talking about, but it also sounds really cool at the same time. Like it reminds me like of a Dick Dale riff or something you'd hear in like an 80s like action movie. So I've got my metronome app here, and I've set it to 55 BPM, or beats per minute. That's really, really slow, but I would say that's a good starting point if a riff like this is new to you, just to kind of get the timing down. So I'm going to have the metronome go, and I'm going to play the riff alongside it so that you can get a feel for like where the notes are supposed to land between the clicks. And because it's a slower tempo, the clicks are further apart. So it's really important to fill in those gaps between the clicks, right, with every little percussive sort of motion with this riff, so that you're locked in tight with the beat. So even though 55 beats per minute is painfully slow, it's a good place to start just to give yourself time to think, and remember what motions you need to do. It's really simple what you're doing, but until you are comfortable with it, it's going to take a little bit of time and repetition, of course, until it really gets under your fingers. So a slow tempo like that is a great place to start. And let's say once you nail 55 beats per minute and you're ready to up the speed, my recommendation is to move up in increments of 5 BPM. So if you start at 55, then you master that, move it up to 60. Then when you master that, 65 to 70, 75, and so on. A beautiful thing about this riff is that it's an open string riff, and we happen to choose the low E string just because, naturally it's a good place to play an open string riff, especially because of the lower tone. But we have 5 other open strings to work with. So just for fun, we can play this same riff with the same motions, same frets and everything, but across multiple strings, and it'll give it, a different kind of sound. So just for fun, I'm going to play, the whole riff on the low E string all the way down to the high E string, just to kind of show you as like a great sort of warm-up that you can do just to kind of move across all the strings. And you'll notice that some strings, when you play them next to each other, actually sounds kind of cool, and you can kind of do a little bit of a back and forth with that, which I'll show you also in a second. So I just went through the riff, pretty quickly just to get through all the strings. But what I was doing is when I was playing through the riff, once I reached that kind of double time part where we play from the 6th fret, and bounce off to the 5th fret, I would start the riff over immediately on the next string. So I would move it on over to the 3rd fret of the string below it. And of course, when you play all the open strings all together like that, it doesn't exactly work super well musically, but it is a fantastic exercise. So like I said, it's building dexterity because what it's doing is you're kind of sort of coordinating your fingers based on the position that you're in on the fretboard for the most ergonomic and efficient way of getting around the strings. Now, if you were to do it something like this, right, where you just have each, let's say your first finger for the 3rd fret, your second finger for the 5th fret, and your pinky for the 7th fret, and then maybe your ring finger for the 6th fret, it'd be another layer of a challenge that you totally can add in order to really get all of your fingers on the same playing field, and it would look something like this. And that would be a way to increase the dexterity part of the exercise. But either way, you're still playing the same riff, the same notes in the same way. It's just a matter of using a different configuration of fingers. And remember what I said about this riff being very percussive. This is where the synchronization, right, between your fretting hand and your picking hand, really, really comes into play. And it's especially important in order to achieve that percussive feel. It's really going to require both of your hands being in sync. So a way that I like to practice that is actually to put my volume on 0 and palm mute this riff so that it, emphasizes more of the percussive sound. Remember the taka 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 taka, right? The simulation of a drum kit playing it, so that you can really start to think of it in terms of something more percussive, So this riff is really, really versatile, as a way to build speed, build dexterity in your hands, and also build synchronization with your fretting hand and your picking hand. So when you're practicing it in those different kinds of ways, it's just going to upgrade each of those attributes to your guitar playing overall. Like I said before, this riff is not only loads of fun to play, but it's the perfect addition to your guitar practice regimen. Now, if you don't currently have a practice regimen, or if, let's say, you're struggling to find the time to practice, or you want to find out what's the least amount of time you can dedicate to get the most results, I got what you need right here. A free practice session cheat sheet. What this will do is it'll tell you exactly what to practice in the time that you have to get the maximum results in your guitar playing. So be sure to click the link here or check the link in the description box to grab yourself a copy. And if you enjoyed this lesson, be sure to give it a like and let me know in the comments how practicing this riff has helped your guitar playing or how it will help your guitar playing. I really would love to hear from you. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I really hope you've enjoyed this lesson as much as I've enjoyed bringing it to you. I'm Eddie with Guitar Mastery Method, and I look forward to seeing you in the next lesson.